So we're going to find ever since we were small children, our attention is naturally and easily drawn out into the world. So our attention is outer directed. And in the process, we have forgotten how to turn our attention within, to the source. Because we're going to find that by turning our attention within, that we then are able to become conscious and aware and enliven awareness of these deeper aspects of our being of soul and spirit. And we're going to find that meditation is something that generally wouldn't be talked about in the context of science and of health. Because if we look traditionally, we're going to find that meditation is that technology of consciousness or practice or tradition that we're going to find in religious traditions and spiritual traditions. And these were part of all of the spiritual traditions in terms of the individual intending to get closer to God or closer to themselves in a deeper spiritual way. And so we're going to find that in our very outer directed Western culture and civilization, that there really wasn't a lot of value that was placed on this inner directedness of attention. And we're going to find that meditation is that which cultivates, it redirects our attention from being drawn outwards to being directed inwards. And one of the things that we want to be aware of, we are beings of consciousness, and focused consciousness is attention. And we're going to find that attention is powerful, that there is a cosmic law, and we have free will choice in this regard. But whatever we put our attention on grows. And it is our free will choice in terms of what we choose to put our attention on. And in our personal lives, we can choose to put our attention on the good things in our life, and we're going to find those good things grow. We can put our attention on the more difficult, bad things in our life, and guess what? We're going to find those bad things grow. We are the arbiter here. We actually grow in our life what we are the ones in charge, and it's what we put our attention on. And we're going to find that when we put our attention in an inner way, in terms of meditation, that it starts to activate these deeper aspects of our being of love, soul, and wisdom, spirit. And also we're going to find that the physical body is the precipitation of spirit, soul, and body. And so to the degree that we go to this inner aspect of our being and enliven it through meditation, we're going to find it expands the mind, it expands the heart, and it also transforms the physiology. So when we start talking in more practical ways, when we talk about the mind and the benefits, and this is where a lot of the research has been done, because meditation is a mental technique. And for most of us, we're going to find that the mind, that aspect of ourselves of mind, is very prominent, very dominant. It relates to our thinking and our thoughts and our ideas. And here we're going to find that most psychiatrists and psychologists say that most of us are only using 5 to 10% of our mental potential. Wow. What the heck's going on with the other 90 to 95%? And if we're living the life that we're living using 5 to 10% of our mental potential, what could the quality of life be if we were using 20%, or 30%, or 50%, or dare we say it, 100%? We are going to find then that from a very practical, basic way for people who meditate, that they expand their consciousness. And this is something that is verifiable from the standpoint of greater learning abilities, quicker reaction responses, things that we were told when we were, at least when I was young, I don't know what the word is out there now, but in terms of IQ tests, that you achieve a certain level of IQ and that's it. Absolutely not. They've done research on meditators that continue to meditate, and as long as you meditate, your IQ continues to grow. Things like damage to the brain. They'd say, okay, damage to the brain, those cells can't come back in terms of brain damage. Absolutely not true. You meditate with brain damage, you're going to find that those cells are regenerated and come back. If we look at that part that has to do with our heart, or what, if we speak more spiritually, our soul, that which expresses as the principle of love and is the language of feelings and emotions, we are also going to find that that is a part of ourselves which expands also very naturally through meditation. That we are going to find, especially in a great deal of stress surrounds our emotional life and our love life, and this whole nature of ourselves to give and receive love, and to really interact, and all of us know from experience that to the degree that there is a significant amount of love in our life, that the quality of life that we are living is going to be enhanced significantly compared to those times when there isn't a great deal of love in our life. I think every single one of us can relate to that from the standpoint of quality of life. And we're going to find that with meditation, our heart opens. And our ability to give and receive love is increased. And our caring for our fellow man is such that relationships are so important. They really are what give us the feeling of living life in a full way and enlivening this quality of soul and heart and love, which is so important. Love is a cosmic law and principle. It's not an ephemeral feeling and emotion. Love is the nature of the soul, and we're going to find it's the nature of life. And even esoterically, if we look at the sun, and you go out into the sunshine, it's one of the ironic things for me in terms of, again of science and medicine, which would be saying, oh my goodness, put on sunscreen, put on your hats, cover up, don't be exposed to the sun. Spiritually and esoterically, every ray of that sun, and I mean this is true, genuine reality, is concentrated love wisdom. The very nature of the sun and the beings of the sun and that which is radiating to us, that which envelops our whole life, that which nurtures our whole life, from this cosmic standpoint, just from this outer standpoint, is cosmic love and cosmic wisdom. And we're trying to hide from it. We're trying to protect ourselves from it. It's really a comment on kind of the state of society that we are in and our level of understanding. And if we look at the world, and we look at the conditions in the world, and all the problems and the difficulty and the strife and the conflict and the polarization, there's not a problem out there, I guarantee you, there is not a problem out there that couldn't be solved by opening up our hearts and expressing love. This is greatly needed, and I think each and every one of us knows it, in terms of even our own personal life. But just think, to the degree that you feel love, and you're kind and nice and considerate to somebody, in terms of getting on the freeway or being in the grocery line or whatever it may be, and the effect that that has on that person by your consideration, by your love, that it affects that person in a genuine way, and that they turn around and do something nice for somebody else. It's contagious in a good way. And these are things that are very, very powerful. They may be subtle, but they're very, very powerful, and they change life. And so when we talk about interpersonal relationships and love and our interactions with each other as human beings, love is actually the glue of the universe. It is the law of attraction. It is the principle that holds everything together. It is the reason why the planets orbit around the sun and why our solar system orbits around the central sun. We are going to find that which keeps everything together and holds in its place is love. We can say gravity, but it's love if we want to understand it from a spiritual perspective. And so these are things that you actually experience growing and unfolding within your life through the regular practice of meditation. And as we have mentioned, the effect on physiology in terms of being more healthy, having any even mental health. If we start getting into the whole area of mental health in terms of meditation, all kinds of studies that have been done in terms of the improving of mental health as a result of the regular practice of meditation. And then if we really are concerned about the state of the world, one of the things that when I was very deeply involved in teaching meditation back in the 60s were a wild and crazy time. Not that these aren't, but each time is some things are the same, some things are different. But one of the things that was so dominant in the culture at that time, because of the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement and all the conflict that was going on, that there really was a very genuine, real, pervasive desire for peace. That people were tired of the conflict, and I think we're getting there too in this day and age. And so one of the things that was really very prominent in people's desires was that of really establishing peace in the world. And so many people think, okay, that's going to be the result of legislation. That's going to be the result of diplomacy in terms of our ability to establish peace in the world. But I guarantee you, diplomacy and legislation will not bring peace. It has to do with establishing that peace within the individual soul. It has to do with achieving that state of harmony and balance. Because one of the things that we also want to understand when people use these terms, they often really don't understand because they haven't even experienced it, is that peace is not the absence of war. Peace is actually a state of fulfillment, of harmony, of radiating out of life, of love and well-being. It's not the absence of war, it's the fullness of life. And to the degree that you haven't experienced it and you haven't lived it, then you really don't have a basis of really understanding what is wanting to manifest within your own personal lives and that of the collective life of society and mankind. And that is what is growing. There is a lot of shifting going on. This is very timely in this regard. There's tremendous changes that are in the works. And one of the things that is important is to the degree that each and every one of us is really working to develop and unfold these deeper aspects of our being, we actually become part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I think everyone here would really prefer to be part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem. And we have that choice, and the tools are there. And so that is something just to give us some idea, some glimpse, some vision of the possibilities, and I assure you they are very real.